The May 2025 election is just around the corner. Do you really know the candidates who want to lead you? For years, the Freeman has brought you Know Your Candidate, your trusted platform to meet the candidates, hear their plans, and get the answers that matter. Your vote shapes our future. Stay informed, stay empowered. Catch Know Your Candidate, only here at the Freeman. The May 2025 election is just around the corner. Do you really know the candidates who want to lead you? For years, the Freeman has brought you Know Your Candidate, your trusted platform to meet the candidates, hear their plans, and get the answers that matter. Your vote shapes our future. Stay informed, stay empowered. Catch Know Your Candidate, only here at the Freeman. The May 2025 election is just around the corner. Do you really know the candidates who want to lead you? For years, the Freeman has brought you Know Your Candidate, your trusted platform to meet the candidates, hear their plans, and get the answers that matter. Your vote shapes our future. Stay informed, stay empowered. Catch Know Your Candidate, only here at the Freeman. The May 2025 election is just around the corner. Do you really know the candidates who want to lead you? For years, the Freeman has brought you Know Your Candidate, your trusted platform to meet the candidates, hear their plans, and get the answers that matter. Your vote shapes our future. Stay informed, stay empowered. Catch Know Your Candidate, only here at the Freeman.
Be part of the conversation, protect the Cebu vote. I'm Fred Langido, and this is Know Your Candidate, an election special of the Freeman and Banat News to help you make the right choices. Who among the candidates deserve your vote? Let's get to know them up close and personal. This afternoon, we are joined by a congressional aspirant from the Lone District of Mandaue City, former president of the Integrated Bar of the Philippines Cebu City Chapter, Attorney Regal Oliva. Attorney Oliva, maayong hapon.
Maayong hapon po, Fred. I'm very glad that you invited me in this worthy discussion.
Kumusta ang kampanya so far?
Exhausting. No, this is the first time that I am entering or dipping my fingers into the realm of politics. And grabe ka exhaustive mandaining politika. Karon na taas na kog respeto sa mga politicians because this is an extensive, comprehensive, physical, mental, spiritual, tanan na lang, no? A psychological draining exercise, and I'm enjoying so far. I'm enjoying the ride. I'm also enjoying how the people have accepted me as their candidate, and also, you know, getting to know people and getting to know their needs as well. Murag ang akong advocacy mas nidako pa hinoon this time.
Although you are not new to public service, because as I've said, you are former president of the IBP, in which naamoy daghan nga mga legal aid, public service. During your time as president sa IBP, aktibo kaayo ang IBP Cebu City sa mga legal aid programs. And of course, as former city treasurer sa Mandaue City, engaged kayo ka sa public service. But this is totally different sa imuhang experience. How is the experience kanang aside from being exhausting kaayo, pero unsay tan-aw nimo?
The learning exercise that I have had, no, for the
Mm.
past few months, since I filed my certificate of candidacy to be Congress, to be the representative of the Lone District of Mandaue, is very enriching.
Mhm.
Because previously, when I was president of the IBP Cebu City chapter, ang ako yung advokasya, kuan good justice, no?
Mm.
Justice should reach to the last, no?
Mm.
Pero this time mas dako na siya.
Mm.
It became a wider, I mean, and my scope has now widened as well.
Mm.
Okay? Di naman day siya sa una man good nagselya president ko, it should be about women and children.
Mm.
And when I was also a part of or an officer of Zonta Club of Cebu 2, we were concentrating on the rights of women and empowering women all over the world. But this time, to be a congressional candidate,
Yeah.
di na siya gid siya mao. It became providing jobs for the poor,
Mm.
uplifting the lives of people who, especially Mandaue City is a highly dense
Yes.
city, no, and one of the most overpopulated cities in
Correct.
in our country. So kuan gid siya, mas nidako ang ako
Yes.
pagtan-aw sa political scape.
So karon murag nahimo na nimong hunahunahon na nimong problema sa housing sa Mandaue. Hunahunahon na nimong problema kung saan pagsulbad ang traffic, education, ang
Exactly.
baha, no?
Kana.
Now, kining unsa may imuhang mga plano, not only for Mandaue City, maybe on a larger scale on the national scope, because being a congressman dili man lang ta limitado sa atong distrito, although maunay ato ang focus gyud, but we also have to think of on a national scale nga makabenepisyo sa ang ato ang mga konstituente sa atong distrito. So, I'd like to ask you, unsay imuhang legislative agenda sa pagkakaron kung ugaling mamahimo kang kongresista?
Ako start sa Mandaue City. Ha?
Yes.
Kaya ang ako para gid nako ang Mandaue City ang kailangan jud kay nila number one is that social services should be improved in Mandaue City. Access to social services, especially on health. Mas maayo og atong i-institutionalize ang health access to people. Kanang what I mean to that, what I mean when I say that, Fred, kana manggong ang pagbayad sa usa ka yanong katawhan, pagbayad sa hospital, maglisod gid sila kay muagi pa gid sila politiko. We have to institutionalize this one. That we don't need a guarantee letter just to be able to pay your bills in the hospital. Nindot naman unta kay itong dagan sa malasakit, no, program, and then naatay PhilHealth nga dako kay access. Pero karon nagkalimitado na hinuni siya because there are certain mga gipang block, no, sa ato ang mga lawmakers, sadly. Number two, Mandaue City also needs to have its own university. Wala pa'y universidad ang Mandaue nga owned by a state university, no, owned by government. Ang naapa nato din na Cebu Doctors University.
But you have the Mandaue City College.
Yes, exactly. Mo na kung gusto unta ang Mandaue City College, mahimo untong university. Mas dako untag scope and mas daghan tag matabangan nga mga pobre dinha sa Mandaue City. And number three, infrastructure should also be improved. Flooding, yes, you mentioned flooding also. Housing programs for people. So, miski ka na lang for the next 3 years, ang ato i-concentrate, we can already improve the quality of lives of people. In a national level, I will advocate first and foremost, because I'm a human rights lawyer, I will truly advocate for the SOGI bill passage. Because up to now, 20 or years, 2 decades have passed, o no, pagyapon ta nakakita og light beyond the tunnel.
There have been attempts, but wag
yun, no? And I hope we can champion on that one. Number two is that we should also, kaning mga Magna Carta for teachers, Magna Carta for health workers, this shouldn't be Magna Carta alone. This should be health. This should be laws already. So we move beyond Magna Carta. We give them kanang balaod na sakto. Para di kita mo threaten nila na kung unsay mahitabo sa atong mga maestra, atong mga health workers. And number three, we have to re-examine also the National Revenue Internal Code, no? Kay importante na natong ma-revisit. Kay grabe ra kaya ang atong taxes, ang pagtaas sa atong mga palaliton. Taas ra kaayo i-compare sa exemption sa atong taxes. So we have to put murag na agitay gap on it, no? Kay karon at 250,000 pa magud ang atong exemption,
Cap.
no? Mas maayong atong patas ana diyang dapita. And the local government code should also be amended.
Wow, daghan kayo, but I'd like to ask for details lang usa atong imuhang plano nga i-institutionalize ang kining health.
Yes,
No,
yes.
Specifically, attorney, unsa man imuhang gusto nga unsa man imong gusto nga buhaton nga makabenepisyo alang sa katawhan, like anang health, no, nga i-institutionalize, like yung ka di na kinahanglang mo agi sa
Correct.
politiko, like so unsaon man na nato pag unsa imong plano ana?
First and foremost, patas-an nato ang atuang guarantee when it comes to budget sa PhilHealth.
Okay.
Because PhilHealth is supposed to be the state insurance. Ang problema karon wala tagaig budget si PhilHealth, no? Karon in 2025. In other words, vulnerable. The vulnerability of PhilHealth is there when it is controlled by politicians. That's number one. Number two is that we have to strengthen the management of PhilHealth. Kaya namang problem, di mo punta maka-blame tanan sa congressmen because naapoy deficiency and deficit si PhilHealth nga dapat panubagan unta sa mga management niini. So, strengthen the PhilHealth, strengthen the universal health program of our country, and dili kay ingon nga limitado ra kaayo ang atong access sa atong PhilHealth. For example, mo hospital ta, Fred. Lisod kaayo because pila ra kuhaon sa PhilHealth 30%, which is very dako gyapon kaayo ang sobra nga bayranan sa usa ka tawo because most often than not, Filipinos are not yet that educated when it comes to insurance. Di pa jud kaayo ta kumbinsido nga insurance is a requirement or mandated in our lives. Para nato extra ra gyud na siya nga expense. But it is very important that the state will sanction insurance to the people by subsidizing it highly. In other words, mas dako og ibayad ang atong state, atong nasod for insurance purposes para sa atuang mga katawhan. Para especially for those who belong to the lower echelons in life. Di na sila kailangan mubayad the moment they get admitted in the hospital and the moment they get out of the hospital. So, two-prong ang approach ana niya. National government should give more subsidy and the local government as well will give subsidy para ani ang mga atuang mga katawhan. Like for example, senior citizens. They're one of the most vulnerable sectors in our country. And when you reach around 70 to 80, murag mawagtangan ang imuhang kanabang paglaom sa kinabuhi. Kay mahadlok naman lang yung ka. Ang imo na lang tan-aw hinuon ang kahadlok dili na lang ang pag-enjoy sa imong life sa mga remaining years nimo. Mahadlok ang hospital, mahadlok kag ang imo ma-burden nimo imong pamilya kay tungod mga ingon ana. So we need to make or uplift a certain sector's lives, PWD, senior citizens, solo parents. We have to also strengthen its implementation of the laws when it comes to the solo parents. Kanang anak.
But that's executive function.
I know it is executive function, but sometimes we can really, as a congressman, you can summon the executive so that we will ask nganong hinay kaayo ang implementations ani nga balaod na
oversight function.
Exactly.
I like that you mentioned about strengthening PhilHealth management. You know, unsa imuhang tan-aw kay right now man good. This is my observation. There's too much politics in PhilHealth. Like mag-appoint og mga officials sa PhilHealth na why medical background because of political patronage. So do you think mahimo mausab na nato once naa ka sa Kongreso?
That's one of the legislative measures that I'm also looking into. Qualifications of the chief executive of a certain corporation like PhilHealth. It should be run like a private insurance company, not a public one. Okay, maglisod man gud ta ang naagoy padrino system
Yes.
sa atuang mga PhilHealth or kanang mga big state-owned corporations. Namo ko'y gisulti nato, kung di gani kaya sa gobyerno, di magtuga-tuga ang gobyerno. In other words, kung maayo kaayo ni pagkadala sa private organization or private company ang usa ka butang like insurance, it should be run by private. I'm not saying privatize PhilHealth. I'm saying is that kailangan ang iyang organizational structure must be in a form nga mura siya privately run.
In other words, it has to be
qualifications.
insulated from politics.
Correct.
Probably, dili politiko mo appoint sa chief executive.
That's number one. Or kung ato abang politiko, ato bang president mo appoint na certain qualifications like unsay degree nga na-take, asa iyang master's degree, should it be international master's degree, na kailangan na sila background on insurance system. Dili lang kaingon kay tungod na akay na utang buot during elections imong ibutang na din sa PhilHealth. Pagkita nimo sa iyang qualification, what is like experience on insurance, importante manggug na akay experience on insurance because this is the only way that we can ensure nga di mag-deficit ang usa ka insurance company. Kay tinuod pod, there is a danger manggod nga magsigitag pasud og tao sa PhilHealth tapos ang remittances are very small no, or very low kung managsigitag subsidized din na sa mga ubang tao. So we have to balance also. I came from a financial perspective, no? Kay treasurer ba ako. So dili pwede tanan na lang ipanghatag. Dili pwede tanan dole out. Naagyo'y revenues coming in, the stream of revenue should be more than the one that we're giving away. Mo na importante.
So mag-expect i-review nimo ang charter sa PhilHealth if ever.
That's very important, Fred.
Now, arita sa aspeto sa housing sa Mandaue City, what do you think imuhang mahimo in terms of legislative measure aron ma-improve ang housing?
One of those is that magkuha gid tag funding requirement for Mandaue City especially. Mandaue City stands to be one of the siguro one of the smallest cities in the Philippines when it comes to land area because it's only 34 square kilometers. But then when it comes to population, it also has the biggest in terms of land area. So kung density lang on population, Mandaue and Manila City would be neck to neck. Comparable na sila. Sa kagamay sa lugar, yung anak kadaghan ang tao. Now, housing is a requirement or is a job really of the National Housing Authority. So, ang NHA must partner with Mandaue City. Importante nga, mas daghan og pundo ibutang ang NHA. That's number one. Number two, and that needs legislative measures. Number two, we build more vertical structures for housing. We are already successful with, I think, three buildings already in Mandaue. We call it the Tipolo Residences.
MRB?
And it's very successful nga ang mga tao willing na kay mo bayad sa ilang monthly. At first, no, di man gud na maayo when it comes to housing, di pud na nindot nga ato ra gyud ning ihatag sa mga katawhan ang housing. They should, kailangan silang maningot, ilaning tagaan og singot og dugo basta panimalay nato. Why? Because you are the king or the queen of your house. It means anang walay laing makasud nga tao kun dili imbitado nimo pasulod. So bisag kinsa pa na kaiso, bisag kinsa pa na iyang power din ha. Once it's your house, it's your house. Mao nang importante kaayo nga muhatag tag equity. No, muhatag tag subsidiya ang gobyerno pero kailangan ang mupuyo din ha. Iya pong ma-feel nga iya ng singot ng balaya na. So that he will have a sense of ownership and belongingness to a certain house. And that is why more condominiums will be constructed in Mandaue City to answer for the housing needs as well.
Flood control. Asa dapita maka-come in ang congressman?
When it comes to flood control, it's really on funding. Because the power of the purse really belongs to Congress. So it's really funding man gyud ang flood control. Ang problema lang pud gyud ani gyud, no. Ang Mandaue City is a catch basin to all when it comes to the highly located cities and LGUs, no? Dili lang na coming from Cebu City alone, but it also comes from Mandaue nga areas nga tag-as, also Consolacion, magbunok din ang Mandaue City. And so we have to widen the drainage system of Mandaue City, and it needs proper funding. Di ara gid musud ang Congress. Di man gid na pwede wa man nay balaod nga musulti ta sa baha nga hunong mo dinhi, liko mo didto. Wa man di man ta makaana nga we will form laws for that one. So funding ra gid na siya.
Unsa imong una-una, attorney, with regards to mga proposals before na I think it's about time to create a murag metro-wide body ba nga similar to the MMDA in Metro Manila.
Yes, yes.
For Cebu, aron mao'y mo manage sa traffic, sa basically traffic, no? Kay kuan unya kanang sa
Baha.
development sad
Also,
sa
yes,
flooding, yes.
As
Unsay
well,
imong unsay imong hunahuna?
Frankly, I support that vision. No, sa una nga maghimo tag murag MMDA diri, Metro Cebu Development Authority or something. I really did not know the history on how it stopped, because I was already happy that mayors and the different local chief executives were talking to form it already. But since this is not really a law, no, di man ni siya balaod nga atong ipas. Most of these are administrative or executive orders from the president, forming administrative bodies, and these are one of them. But I don't think that it should be a law yet unless we can already amend the local government code. Because creating a law to institutionalize a certain metro development will create another LGU. Mura man siya naghimo og analogous to an LGU. And who will head it, mura yun siya presidente in that area. So it is important that there should be a supervisor or a supervening body to that body as well. Like the MMDA, it's not created as a law. It is under the office of the president, and it is only an administrative body. Maybe at the same time, we should also think again and revisit for Cebu. Kay nagka-congested na gid ang Cebu. And kung dili gani maayo buot ang one mayor to the other next to the next city, maglisod gid daw develop, no? May gani ning karon the Tri-Cities, especially the biggest cities, Cebu, Mandaue, and Lapu-Lapu, can communicate and have open communication. And I admire the three local chief executives for opening this kind of communication. Pero kung mahitabo nga dili maayog relasyon, maglisod gyud ta og lihok sa atong traffic. We experienced that during pandemic. Remember ka nga inikasud ninyo Mandaue lahi na pud ang permit.
Yes.
Ikasud Lapu-Lapu lahi na pud ang permit. Naglisod ta atong dapita because we don't have one administrative body nga that can actually decide on things and matters that concerns interconnectivity of all local government units.
Actually, kanang interconnectivity imong gisgutan, that would apply to, aside from traffic, sa flood control, because
flood control, communication, transportation.
Interconnected man ato ang problema.
Okay. The moment you cross the bridge, when you reach the airport from Mactan, the moment you cross the bridge, you're already in Mandaue City.
Yeah.
And you're talking to another mayor.
Yes.
Diba? Because Mandaue is small, the moment you cross again another river, it's already Cebu City. So nagkagamay ang atong lugar. Di mo pare sa una, Fred. Remember ka nga sa maabot kag Talisay, feeling nimo layo na gyud kay ka.
Yes.
Di ba? But karon Talisay and Cebu City, ang kwan lang it's because of our bigger roads these days and better access also. Mas dugol na gyud kaayo ang atuang adtuanan ba. So mao nang kailangan gyud kaayo.
Pero kay naghisgot pang kaganiha og i-consider nimo ang possible amendment sa local government code, that could be one aspect nga imuhang ma-introduce tingali sa amendment.
No? That's true. That's one of those. Nga murag naabay when it comes to if there are maybe what I'm thinking, I'm just thinking out loud, kung naay syudad or highly urbanized city nga magtapad na gani, which are already contingent in by 3, then there should already be an administrative body to supervise the whole thing.
Mm.
Not control, ha?
Mm.
But only just general supervision.
Yes. Now, aside from that, unsay imuhang tan-aw nga problema sa atong local government code nga gikinahanglan na gyud natong amendment?
Revenues. On the revenue side,
Mhm.
mubo ra gyud kaayo ang ilahang revenue-making power of local government units.
Mhm.
I'm saying this because local government should be autonomous,
Mhm.
and the autonomy also given to the local government is also very much limited.
Mhm.
Siguro widen the autonomy given to the local government, especially on salaries,
Mhm.
no? Kung taas gani, like highly urbanized city ka, mas dako-dako og sweldo dapat ang inyuhang mga trabahante dinha.
Mhm.
Kaya mas daghan man pug trabaho, good friend.
Mm.
Like for smaller local government units, pare-pareho although nanay karon mga class A, first class, second class, third class cities, but then again, it is very let's say unfair. For example, Cebu City has 80 barangays, Mandaue has 27. The treasurer in Mandaue and treasurer in Cebu are just receiving the same salaries. That's
because
what I mean.
because of the salary grade nga
Exactly.
system, no?
Oo. So we have to also look at the whole scope, no? Kung unsa man gyud nay murag dapat gyud siguro diring amendahan. Para pod nga for bigger cities, kailangan mas dako-dako sa kay mas daghang mas trabaho.
Mhm.
For smaller cities as well, mas napod sila limit. May cap limit ba? That's number one. And number two, the revenue stream especially for public-private partnership for local governments is being so curtailed. What I'm saying is that kung mo enter into partnership ang private o public, ang local government mo enter into partnership, kailangan patabangayog approval sa national.
Mhm.
Maglisod tagingon ana ba kay dugay baya mo action po ang national. So mas maayo untang mas napay autonomy ang local government.
Total autonomy, you mean?
I'm not saying total, no? Because when you say total autonomy, that's already federalism.
Okay.
But federalism is also a very brilliant idea that we need to revisit maybe. But I don't know if we are still if we are ready on this one. But what I'm saying is that more autonomous ang local government. But then again, there should also be still supervision from the office of the president.
Nagisgot man ka sa revenue. Kay ngano man day unsay kasamtangang sitwasyon sa local government in terms of revenue generation?
Namo koy mga limit, like for example, no, business taxes. Ang atong business taxes kutobrag 2% or 2% of the total 2% of 25% of 2%. Ano magud siya gud? Gamay kaayo ang business taxes, real property taxes gamay pug kaayo. So ang buhaton is padak-an pag-ayo ang uban mo jack up sa assessment rate or assessment levels para lang makadako-dako pag-kolekta. To the detriment also of a lot of business owners kay ang treasurer, I'm speaking as by experience, ha. Ang treasurer ma-force o padako sa inyong gross income so that he or she can collect more taxes
and meet the target.
To meet the target. But there's an evil behind that, di ba? Kay bati manggod nga ang business taxpayer mo sige adto sa treasurer, di ba? Kay once na gani nga nagay meeting between two people, corruption will start to emanate from whoever. No, I'm not saying nga pirmi lang gid na ang treasurer may corrupt. Pwede po ang business taxpayer will be corrupting the treasurer at most. So mao nang importante that we institutionalize presumptive income level approach ko kay balaod ana. Local ordinance pa lang na ang mga muna itong presumptive income level approach, kailangan ang treasurer na ay limit, na ay cap limit when it comes to asa ra siya kuto mo presume. And then pila ka years ra yan pwedeng gunitan. And then ang mga kung naakay penalties, asa man na siya muhapak sa first quarter, second quarter, o whole year ba? These are things that we need to act on when it comes to legislative agenda kay wa pa gid na balaod ang Pita, Fred.
It's good thing nga na ay bago nga perspective nga mo abot dito sa Kongreso aron matutukan ning ingon niini nga mga aspeto ba nga wa makit-i sa uban nga mga magbabalaod because
experience mo din
dili nila expertise. Now, that's revenue.
Yes.
What else?
As of now, it's more on revenue. Kaya local government code is really more on revenues. The others are okay naman when it comes to qualifications of the different offices. But there are offices also that we need to create that are not in the local government code. For example, the city architect's office is not in the local government code. The OBO is not in the local government code. The PIO, the Public Information Office, is not also in the local government code. So, kay tungod in 1991, ang needs sa usa ka local government is not as high as it is now. I think we need to also amend the law to include more offices which are required, which must be mandated to be created in our jurisdictions.
Nag-isgot naman lang yung amendment sa local government code. Unsa may imo hunahuna sab sa uban nga mga proposal nga we might as well amend the constitution kay murag taod-taod naman sad ang ato ang constitution unya murag medyo nabiyaanas panahon. Imo hunahuna isip aspiring congressman.
Well, first, in the Constitution, our Constitution is a beautiful Constitution. I have to say, as a lawyer, I will have to say that it is one of the most well thought of Constitution, especially after we were dealing with martial law for the last 20 years and creating such Constitution that will bulletproof us again from a dictator and from a tyranny. But we also need to remember that globalization has also liberalized a lot of things.
Yes.
And we need to deal with that constitutionally because we cannot make just laws with a constitutional blockage, no? So, mu-block man ang constitution kaya di ko makahimo og law. Like for example, foreign ownership of lands, foreign ownership of corporations in our jurisdiction, in our country. That is also prevented in the which we have to amend. Dynasty, 'di ba? Political dynasty, we need to talk about it. We need to make laws about it. Although our constitution have stated that the Congress should pass a law to prohibit political dynasty, up to now, SK pa lang. No? SK pa lang gid ang naay dynasty kana anti-dynasty bill na to. Pero wa pa gid na for the other positions and which we need to really look into.
So you are favorable to amending the Constitution?
Of course. Of course. It's high time. But let's not touch about political, like, extending the terms.
Yes.
Kung pwede lang, gid lang sa nato ni siya i-touch on the political, but especially on the economic side. Dapat lang yun nga ma-amendahan na ng konstitusyon.
Yeah. So you agree nga because of, as you have mentioned, kanang mga economic prohibition sa atong constitution murag nakapugong sad nga mulambo ang atong nasod.
Correct, that's true, Fred.
So kinahanglanon gyud siya nga amendment. Pero murag it's taking too long for the members of the House and the Senate.
I think it's obvious why. Because once gani inyuhang manghilabot na kana magud na good Pandora's box magud nang
exactly.
Kanang when you try to amend the Constitution, once you open it, tanan magud manggawas, So mo ni problema na ato lang tang kwaon din ang economic ang katong articles on economics economic provisions. Pero di man good na mag-uban congressman nga mukuha gid political.
Exactly.
So di na ta masangit, di na ta pirmi ma-blocked.
Ang problema man god, if you agree nga sige, let's amend the Constitution but we will limit ourselves to the economic provisions. But who can prevent a member of the House or of the Senate nga inig ka-open na sa discussion, i-insert na ng mao nga mga, selfish nga agenda.
Ay sus naman gid na, and I think it's a human cycle, no? Nga mugawas yung pagka-selfish sa katao. But I hope that, the next Congress will be a better one and will be open to, let's limit first economic provisions, and then after that, siguro, let's discuss. But, come on. Mo gini problema lagi because there's always an open-ended question. Economics let's discuss the political, which will affect the whole thing.
Exactly. Imong stand sa uban nga mga national issues, for example, West Philippine Sea. Unsay imong hunahunaan ang atong sitwasyon sa pagkakaroon? Unsa may angayang gibuhat unta sa ato ang national government nga wa mahimo sa atong mga opisyal nga maoy nakabutang nato sa sitwasyon sa pagkakaroon with China?
Honestly, Fred, no, that's a very difficult area to tread on because the West Philippine Sea, or we call it in the Philippines West Philippine Sea, pero kung sa China they call it South China Sea.
Yes.
Lisod yun kay siya, but there is already a decision, no, sa ato ang International Tribunal saying that these are exclusive economic zones of the Philippines. Once you say exclusive, from the word itself, it means ato ang nakitaray na ay economic power din dapita. We have all the right to fish in the area, ka-economic man part ang fishing. Kung ganahan i-develop na siya din mag-unsa ta din pwede gid na. And exclusive jurisdiction of the Republic of the Philippines. Now the problem is China does not agree on that. On that decision of the International Tribunal. So will it prevent China from really thinking out loud that this is theirs? They would. So you have to. It's a case on diplomacy. This is not a case about laws. This is a case on foreign diplomacy of the office of the president and China. China's diplomatic relations. Kay di ni pwede bisag unsa lang balaod, kay bisag unsa pang balaod atong ipas. Kung di ka respetuon sa insik, wa gyapon nay mahitabo. Okay, daman sila ilang balaod pud ngadto sa China, naputay balaod diri sa Pilipinas sa kumingon ta nga ato yung kaning laws ma-follow kay exclusive jurisdiction man. Mo yung China amo apong balaod mo man pud ni. Amo man pud ni. So di na ta bunggo man. I don't like a war with China. Di maglisod ta na kay superpower pa ni world power ba ni China, ha? So I think diplomatic relations should enter into when it comes to talking about the West Philippine Sea. This cannot be answered by military might because the Philippines do not have that yet.
Pero kanang bullying sa China nga gihimo sa atong mga fishermen, atong mga members sa Coast Guard o sa Philippine Navy.
I'm totally against it, good friend.
But what the government should have done aron ma-prevent na?
They have had done already and submitted diplomatic protests to China. Our Department of Foreign Affairs, in fairness of this administration and the previous also, we have done our part when it comes to diplomatic protest of what China has been doing to our Chinese fishermen, to our Filipino fishermen, and to our Coast Guard employees. Nagpadayon gyapon sila, and the thing is, I just admire the tolerance that the Coast Guard has been extending so far, especially against the Chinese bullies, no? Kay grabe kay ilang pasensya diyan dapita kay kumusukol man gud. Fred, this might escalate into something very big. And di na lang ta magplastikay. Kung mo-atake kay ng 3 billion people sa 100 million katao din his Pilipinas, maglisod gyud ta mo na ilang gisulti ganing ihian kuno tas insik, malunod ang tibok Pilipinas. Pero that's just a joke. But what I'm saying is that when it comes to patriotism and nationalism, wala po'y makalupig din sa Pilipinas. The love for country and the love for our sovereignty, I have to give it to us Filipinos because we want to fight for West Philippine Sea. But let me just make you understand that when it comes to jurisdictions and territory, two countries fighting should not be dealt with by war. it can only be dealt with by diplomatic relationships.
Well said. Your take on the recent incident, involving former President Digong Duterte. Itugyan sa ato ang gobyerno ngadto sa International Criminal Court ang atong former president. Dunay uban nga mga legal minds ningon nga dili to husto ang gihimo sa ato ang national government. Doon na siningon nga mao to'y husto nga angayang buhato nato as a member of the international community of nations.
Correct.
Unsay imong hunahuna?
I have been very open about it in my different vlogs that I've been making, no? Nga I have totally been against the I would have to say mura siyag kidnapping, no, of the former president. I would say kidnapping because when I heard the Senate investigation led by Senator Amy Marcos, daghan kaayo og mga irregularities when it comes to the warrant being served. Mao na nga makita gyud nako irregular man kayo ni illegal actually ang pagpakuha niya going to The Hague. Now we also have to re-examine unsa puy jurisdiction sa The Hague. Nga ang jurisdiction sa The Hague or the International Criminal Court nagsugod sa 2011 when we signed
The
Rome Statute up to 2019 when we withdrew. So na siya jurisdiction ana nga years kung unsa may krimen mahitabo ana.
Yes.
But after it dili. So 2019 to 2025 wala jurisdiction ang ICC nato.
Yes.
Pag issue sa warrant of arrest, wala jurisdiction ang ICC nato. 'Di ba?
But the warrant of arrest was based on the crimes allegedly committed within the period nga member ang Pilipinas sa
Exactly.
Rome Statute.
Oh, so na jurisdiction sila sa kaso, pero wa sila jurisdiction sa tao. Kaya ang tao na mas Pilipinas.
Okay.
Oh,
That's technical. Okay.
exactly. So nasa may jurisdiction sa kaso atong mga from 2011 to 2019. Pero since President Digong is in the Philippines, they have no jurisdiction because they cannot, ang ilahang warrant of arrest supposedly, walay bili diris Pilipinas. But if Digong will go to the, let's say, Germany, because it is a signatory of the Rome
okay.
Statute, pwede siyang dakpon ngadto.
Okay.
Moadto siya Great Britain, pwede siyang dakpon ngadto.
Ah.
Pero diris Pilipinas, supposedly dili.
Okay.
Oh, wala tay legal bearing to implement the warrant of arrest. Now, the Malacanang said nga we are only implementing it through the Interpol. Manay diffusion notice. So diffusion notice is chismis, Fred. In other words, di gina siya ingon
It's
nga
different from
a red notice, ha?
Yes.
Ang red notice mo gina siya wanted poster na ay kaso na ay ana. Pero diffusion wa gid na. We heard. We heard there's a warrant of arrest.
Pero naman sila kopya sa warrant of arrest nga gipakita.
That's a problem because in our jurisdiction, a warrant of arrest should be in hard copy.
Okay.
Dili a redacted file. No? In the jurisdiction of the Philippines, when you serve a warrant of arrest, kailangan imo nang ipakita at a certain time when it is demanded by the arrested person. So wala sila nakapakita ng papila gyud ever. Gipasakay na lang nila sa eroplano, wa gyapon nang nakita na ang papel.
So bisan pag granting doon na sila soft copy or unsa pa na nga file diha nga na digital copy sa warrant, di na siya mahimo. It has to be physical copy of the warrant.
Yes, because wala pa sa atong jurisdiction nga mo allow og digital copy for a warrant of arrest.
Okay.
Oh, so in other words, irregular ang pagdakop. Now, naaman po yung legal thoughts ng mga legal scholars ni Sulti nga ang ICC does not care giunsa ka pagdakop. May it be irregular, illegal, basta kay makuha lang ka sa ICC, we will try you. So that remains to be seen.
But ang problema man gud ini kay the government allow the arrest, no?
Exactly.
And some of the legal minds ingon nga it's totally a prerogative of the administration, the president, no? Kung mo participate ba siya o dili, which in this case the president participated in the arrest of the former president.
Correct.
So following your kining legal opinion, unsa man kaha posible kaha nga dunay na-commit nga violation of president for allowing it?
For me, there is.
Okay.
Why? Because our courts are functioning. Our investigative agencies are still functioning. Our Department of Justice is still functioning. Our Supreme Court is still functioning. In other words, ang atong balaod nagstorya, Republic Act 9851 says that if these institutions in government are still functioning, then the investigative, the prosecutorial, and the judge and the judicial bodies of government are still functioning, then all cases when it comes to humanitarian cases or criminal cases should be heard in the Philippines. So, diri gyud unta nas Pilipinas.
Well, don't you think that should be murag water under the bridge, because the victims of the alleged kining human rights violations mao may ni ining maong kaso ngadto sa International Criminal Court instead of filing it with our courts?
Precisely. The International Criminal Court should have said, since your courts would have jurisdiction of this one, di sa mi pwede. Kay di man ta pareha ng uban mga nasod nga wala na gyud ila nang revolutionary government ba. Wa pa man, we are still a democratic country, and those people who went to The Hague, nag-una-una ra gyud sila without filing the appropriate cases in the Philippines. So, kung mayroon tag na bay mga cases gifile sa Philippines, naman. In fact, ang mga police ganing nagpatay kay Kian de los Santos, gipriso man.
Convicted na, yes.
In other words, these institutions are still there. Napagalihok pa ni intaw ng atong hustisya sa Pilipinas. Nganong dalhon man si Digong dito sa The Hague. So, your guess is as good as mine. It could be political.
Now, if the president committed a violation for allowing former President Duterte to be arrested, would that be tantamount to possible impeachment case?
That can fall under betrayal of public trust.
Okay.
Because once you surrender your sovereignty to another jurisdiction or to another country, then that is one of the biggest crimes that you can commit as president. Because one of the elements of the states, na upat mga ng elements sa atong state, manggod, Fred, no? People, territory, government, and sovereignty. Without sovereignty, you can never be a state. So in other words, kung di-surrender nato si Digong to another jurisdiction, mura na po gi-surrender nato ang atong sovereignty to another state, which is to the ICC or to the Hague. Murag wa na din nag-function atong government. So it should have been analogous to say that the president is saying, wala tayo gobyerno karon diri. Oh, di naman siya functional. So let's close down the government. Mo na lang din ni ron. So, mura magduha na ilang mawa ni the government and sovereignty mawagtang. So where are we living now? So morning lisod kaayo when the president is doing such a call, no, to saying ihatag na siya sa The Hague when we should have had jurisdiction over the former president.
So that's new, ha? So it's betrayal of public trust ang nahimo sa atong presidente for doing that.
It's very blatant.
But whether or not dunay mo file og impeachment against the president, that's another thing. And whether or not it will prosper, of course, that's entirely different
impeachment
thing.
is a political exercise.
Process, yes.
No? This is not a judicial exercise. So, kung impeachment siya as president, it depends on on Congress kung impeach ba siya dili. So kung gunitan pagyapon ni ang Congress, imposible ma-impeach siya.
Yes, but given the current composition of the House, murag
lisod ta makita.
lisod na
area.
mahitabo. Yes. Attorney, your message to the Mandawihanons, nganong si Attorney Regal Oliva mo'y angayang pilion pagka-kongresista sa Lone District sa Mandawi.
Okay. Mandawi became a Lone District in 2019. And it is also the right thing to say that Mandawi deserves someone better to be sitting down in the congressional seat of the Lone District of Mandawi. Better because I know the law better. As a legislator, I can very much deliver to the people of Mandaue on legislative actions and legislative pending requirements. And also, di ko corrupt. I have had my record serving Mandaue City for the last 16 years as your city treasurer, and I have not met one case of corruption, of graft, as your city treasurer. So I believe that Mandaue should deserve someone who has the integrity, the character, and the grit to bring Mandaue City's name to a higher national scene.
Thank you very much, Attorney Regal Oliva, congressional aspirant of the Lone District of Mandaue. Disclosure lang for transparency, we have sent invitation to Representative Lollipop Owano, but she declined, and kini ako na lang isulti diridaan, and I'll be honest, we did not like the way nga gipadangat ang kining ilahang tubag for the invitation, because according to our kining personnel nga gipada didto to send the invite, they would rather give up their time in favor of Attorney Oliva and former Mayor Jonas Cortez. No? So, honestly, I did not like that. It shows arrogance, and it reveals the character of a person. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Be informed. Protect the Cebu vote. Know your candidate. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you for your honesty also. Huh? I did not know that happened.
The May 2025 election is just around the corner. Do you really know the candidates who want to lead you? For years, the Freeman has brought you Know Your Candidate, your trusted platform to meet the candidates, hear their plans, and get the answers that matter. Your vote shapes our future. Stay informed, stay empowered. Catch Know Your Candidate, only here at the Freeman.